Woo! Woo! Oh, baby. This is explosive. What you're about to hear today is probably the most explosive thing I have heard. Just when you thought Fox News had something going on, oh my God. It is crazy. Oh my God. And what's weird is that Jimmy Pitaro allegedly, let me show y'all Jimmy, the president of ESPN from Scanarsie, he knows all of it and hasn't said a word. KB is in the house. Oh my God. Now, what we have here as evidence of this is something crazy. So hit the like button, subscribe to the page. KB is in the house. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Oh my goodness. That was a good burrito. Knocked me out and gave me heartburn when I got up. No, we can't go to the intro. We got to go straight to this. Look, here's what's going on. And it's the craziest thing that's happening right now. Molly Qerim tried to Me Too Stephen A. Smith. Went to the bosses and tried to charge him with sexual assault. And here's the kicker. She apparently was the one doing the assaulting. She was the one who allegedly leaked the whole rumor about her and Stephen A. and split up her marriage with Jalen. Yes, Stephen A. went to the bosses, had a meeting, and this is when he was talking about on First Take, it's people on my own show trying to sabotage me. This is what he was talking about. Now, I'm sitting here, oh, that's crazy, Gil. I don't know if he's watching the live or whatever. He's coming in saying something. So, but yeah, you want to talk about crazy? That is off the charts nuts. Now, Jimmy Pitaro, the ESPN bosses, told Stephen A not to mention nothing. Just go back to work. Everything's gonna be taken care of. Just go back to work. And when Stephen A wanted to go public and say to the masses, because Jalen Rose was the one blamed for all this, he wanted to go clarify it, and the ESPN bosses told him not to. Jimmy Pitaro told him, don't clean nothing up, just let it go and it'll fade away. Don't go out there and say nothing. So Stephen A went back to work. Like the good old boy. He went back to work. Because he do not disobey his bosses. So Stephen A. Smith is not allowed and permitted to mention his relationship that he has already with his black woman that he's been with for years, who goes by the name of Mrs. Stephen A. Smith. He's not allowed to mention her on ESPN. Why? And Molly Qerim has been told by Stephen A. Smith personally, stop calling me S.A. She calls him S.A. all the time on the show. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but she calls him S.A. a lot on the show. And he asked her to stop. He doesn't like it and he wants her to stop doing it. Yeah, she calls him S.A. on the show. Hey, S.A. But she's trying to jokingly say that, but she means because she went and filed tried to get a sexual harassment charge against him. That's why she's playing on it, calling him S.A. And she did it again just the other day. So now, are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? All right, here you go. This is Stephen A. Smith's wife telling you what's going on.
Hey y'all, is ready for a little story time? You know that kid in school who's always like really, really quiet, and there's a bully that keeps on picking on him and picking on him until everybody finally finds out that that kid got them hands? I'm that kid that got them hands. So let's have a little story time about Molly on First Take. See, Molly came at me last night for the I don't know how many times from a fake account, and she was making fun of me. But she didn't know that I know who she is. And so I told her, like Stephen told her, to stop calling him S.A. But she wouldn't listen. And I told her not to do it again or I was going to air her out. And so she decided to get on First Take today to do it. So let me tell you a little bit about Molly and why she calls Stephen S.A. Molly actually falsely accused Stephen of sexual harassment. This was after he rejected her advances because I guess she thought that he didn't really love me. Anyway, so let's go back about Molly. See, Molly was the one who actually planted the story about her and Stephen having an affair. When Stephen wanted to address it, his bosses told him not to. Molly blamed that on Jalen, her ex-husband, but it was really Molly. Molly was jealous because, see, Jalen told Molly not to move to Connecticut, but she didn't listen. And then she got mad at the results. So then she decided to go after Stephen A. after she saw him coming up even more. Well, baby, she didn't know that Stephen A. is all about Nikita. So anyway, she plants this story and she thought it was going to faze me, but it didn't, because the one thing I know about my man, he likes all the assets and she ain't got none. Anyway, so she let it play out. And so when it didn't come, I told Stephen at that moment, I said, you should nip this in the bud because she is going to claim you harassed her. And he said, no, my bosses told me not to. And there's another story about those bosses that actually are trying to sabotage Stephen A. at ESPN, but I'll talk about that later. So today, Molly was the one who did it. She planted the story. She falsely accused Stephen. And apparently she didn't think I was about this life. But baby, I'm about this life. See, Stephen should have told you, not only am I a banking expert, I'm an IT expert. And on top of that, I was the EEO director at the FDIC. Now, you better come again before you come correct, before you come at me. Because I'd rather be growing my baby. But baby, I'll stop and take care of you.
Woo! Woo! ain't AI. That ain't AI. That's Stephen A. Smith's woman. For real. Yeah, that's his woman for real. You know I keep tabs on everybody now. That's Stephen A.'s woman. Seriously, that's his girl. Now, he's like, no, it's not. Nobody really pays attention because Stephen A. doesn't really put anybody in his wife on whatever. So I guess Molly and her been going back and forth on social media. So she put this out to the world. Yeah. Now, in case y'all think like this some kooky fan, um, I will definitely provide more detail for you. So you can have this context in here of what's going on. Now, Stephen A doesn't like a lot of his private or personal information out there. Now, some of y'all could say she's a kook, she's crazy, she don't know Stephen A. She's been around Stephen A. She's been with Stephen A. for a long time. For a very long time. That's Miss Nikita and Mrs. Stephen A. Smith. I trust me, nobody's claiming it. So if somebody is gonna claim him, it would be her. Now, if he says this woman's a kook, this woman is something else, this is an established woman. Like a professional woman. She worked in DC. She's not lying about that. That was her job. See? I'll show it to you. Her account is verified. Uh, she was at the White House last year. So he got a thoroughbred doing kicks down for the Dallas Cowboys. And all of this stuff here you've been seeing. Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff been going on here. And you start to see all this stuff here talking about standing on business, not on a fake account, trying to say this is Molly Qerim's fake account. Stunner 285. And right here, she's talking about she had her turned away. Stunner, right here. Follow one follower, two follow. Stunner NA285 is Molly Qerim, and they are having a girl fight throughout this entire thing. And she's up here laughing, talking about security turned you around, and I was there. You did not get in. I stand on business. Stephen A didn't want you near him. Man, we were at First Take at Howard. What movie? You didn't get in, and First Take was filmed. You just lie and lie. So obviously, this has been going on for a while. And this has been crazy. She said the whole story has been caught on film. Stephen A. production company will be coming out with it in a movie. The gag is you thought I was saying season two as a catchy phrase. I'm a clever girl like Beyonce, baby. You are ready for your film debut? I mean, this is getting crazy. This whole thing right now is like days of our lives crazy. This is nuts. So this is what she's responding to in that video when she made those accusations about Molly.
Did you ever see there are
When she's look at this. She says, "Did you know the FBI has been monitoring my social media accounts for years due to threats to my life? You and others are about to be fully exposed. President Trump will not approve of it." She said, "Well, I wouldn't waste a second making any threats to you since you're reading people. Tell them the story about Stephen A. Smith having you escorted off the set at First Take when he was here in DC a few months ago because you popped up. You are a nutcase." Oh, that is where you are loud and wrong, sweetie. I was there. I went home early because I felt sick. We later found out I was pregnant. Enjoy prison. Keep adding to the evidence that you already have. I will be giving everything you owe. So it's crazy. All this stuff is going on, but Stephen A allegedly has known this woman for a while.
Hey, y'all.
So
Hey, y'all. You ready for a little story time? You know that kid in school who's always like really, really quiet? And there's a bully that keeps on picking on him and picking on him until everybody finally finds out that that kid got them hands? I'm that kid that got them hands. So let's have a little story time about Molly on First Take. See, Molly came at me last night for the I don't know how many times from a fake account. And she was making fun of me. But she didn't know that I know who she is. And so I told her, like Stephen told her, to stop calling him SA. But she wouldn't listen. And I told her not to do it again or I was going to air her out. And so she decided to get on First Take today to do it. So let me tell you a little bit about Molly and why she calls Stephen SA. Molly actually falsely accused Stephen of sexual harassment. This was after he rejected her advances because I guess she thought that he didn't really love me. Anyway, so let's go back about Molly. See, Molly was the one who actually planted the story about her and Stephen having an affair. When Stephen wanted to address it, his bosses told him not to. Molly blamed that on Jalen, her ex-husband, but it was really Molly. Molly was jealous because, see, Jalen told Molly not to move to Connecticut, but she didn't listen. And then she got mad at the results. So then she decided to go after Stephen A after she saw him coming up even more. Well, baby, she didn't know that Stephen A is all about Nikita. So anyway, she plants this story and she thought it was going to faze me, but it didn't, because the one thing I know about my man, he likes all the assets and she ain't got none. Anyway, so she let it play out. And so when it didn't come, I told Stephen at that moment, I said, you should nip this in the bud because she is going to claim you harassed her. And he said, no, my bosses told me not to. And there's another story about those bosses that actually are trying to sabotage Stephen A at ESPN, but I'll talk about that later. So today, Molly was the one who did it. She planted the story. She falsely accused Stephen. And apparently she didn't think I was about this life, but baby, I'm about this life. See, Stephen should have told you, not only am I a banking expert, I'm an IT expert. And on top of that, I was the EEO director at the FDIC. Now, you better come again before you come correct, before you come at me. Because I'd rather be growing my baby. But baby, I'll stop and take care of you.
Now, woo! Now, and y'all probably say, well, that's probably some kooky fan that don't know Stephen A. Smith, right? That's probably what somebody's going to say, right? That's a kooky fan that don't know Stephen A. That's Nikita and Stephen A. That's his girl. He just keeps her in the dark. But Nikita has always been there. And I believe her. I believe her 100% because I've seen some of this play out on the show. And I've heard Molly call him SA on the show a lot. And it didn't look like he liked it. Then she stopped. It went away. Then she went back to doing it again. What do I need to apologize to Gil for? Well, somebody just came to me with some damning information and I wanted him to confirm it. So now he confirmed that whoever this person is definitely is telling the truth about one part of it. So yeah, I think y'all need to be quiet for a minute. He gonna find a way to blame that on Kwame Brown too. It ain't got nothing to do with KB. Oh man. So this is why he's responding back to me. He's trying to defend himself. And yeah, it's some damning information. Ever since Tasha K came out with that thing, yeah, it was a damning information. Now, that's Stephen A. and her. And this is way before. And all of this has been going on. They've been together for a minute. So this is not some Yahoo that don't know Stephen A. Smith. Okay? This is really her. So when she came at Molly and she's saying that person on the other side is a fake account from Molly, I believe that's Molly Qerim because of the way she's talking in the chat. You could tell if somebody created a fake account. Look, if somebody create a fake account and start coming for you, this guy said, I don't care what Molly does. She's the eye candy of the show, straight up sexy. She's a prize for sure. He said, that's the problem. A show needs quality content as a priority for people to watch. She's brought none. Further, if she wanted to be eye candy, she couldn't even get that part right. When you have seen her on the cover of anybody's magazine, P.S., Amy, how many fake accounts do you have? Do you want to go back live and talk about what you said about the way you were illegally buying and selling bank securities? Here's more evidence. Oh, this is about Amy Thompson. So that's her war with it. All right. So I don't know. Stephen A would have to address and clarify all of this to say he probably saying, hey, I hit it a couple of times. Ooh, we ain't together no more. whatever. But this thing gonna have to come to a head. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Molly Qerim wants people to think it's her when he's talking about her. And she's like, girl, your country ass is from rural Georgia. He is not referring to you. See how delusional she is? She comes right out with all this. Oh my God. This is some crazy ish. Y'all can enjoy going through all of this right here. But I told y'all this was going to be a problem on this show for a long time. This show is doomed. They're going to have to do a whole reset. And it's messy as hell. And all ESPN wants you to do is go back to work. Forget the infighting. Forget everything. Just go back to work. Don't say nothing. Don't ask no questions. Go back to work. That's all they want to do is go back to work. Yeah, that's it. They only want you to go back to work, baby. Get in there and do your goddamn job, boy. Yep. Don't ask no questions. Why come Stephen A gets to come in here late and do whatever he wants? Ha! Don't ask no questions. Yeah, exactly. They don't want that. Oh, let them guns go. Let them guns go. Yo, yo, yo. Like the town drunk. Oh, no. No, we ain't doing that crap. Look, Molly and Stephen A broke up, and that was the real. They broke up because that's what I'm saying. She's not she's not a kook that's on the internet. That really happened. Jalen was going through problems because his mom and grandma died, and he was taking that very hard. Jalen grew up with those two women in his life, having his back, growing up with him, and he was very close with them, and to lose both of them the way he did, it affected his life. So Molly and Jalen's relationship, she tried to be there for him. She didn't know how to be there for him. And because of COVID, she lost people in her side of the family. She lost like 2, 3 people to COVID. And she didn't know how to comfort anybody. He couldn't comfort her. She moved because of the shutdown. They started closing offices, and First Take and all this stuff was moving from California to Connecticut. ESPN was circling the wagons and cutting off supplies for money because they was losing money left and right. They started doing layoffs and bringing people aboard, and they moved her out to Connecticut, and that put a strain on the marriage because he remained in California, where they both were. That's where the house was. He told her, "Don't go. You don't have to do the show. You could switch and do another show." And and you won't miss a beat. She didn't want to leave first take. She wanted to continue, and she stayed there. Now, that's where it all went, and that's what it all became. Now, the situation flipped like a coin because once it did, Molly was the one who was the aggressor, allegedly, according to Stephen A's alleged wife, who we know knows Stephen A. That part is for sure. She knows Stephen A. Smith and seems like a intimate way. Whether they still get down, I don't know. But I do know Stephen A don't like no woman talking about his business public. Now, that's something I do know about Stephen A. Smith. He do not tolerate any woman talking about his business public. That's a good way to lose him. So I don't know if he broke up with this woman or not. But this is where it stands. Gossip. Yeah, I guess it is gossip, but when the woman that messes around with Stephen A. Smith comes out and tells very key details. I mean, if she was sounding like a kook, like some fan of Stephen A. who just loves Stephen A. so much and was saying something that was just rhetoric, then I wouldn't have paid it too much attention. But she said very key details to let you know. It's just like the Molly, I mean, not the Joy Taylor situation, right? It's like the Joy Taylor situation with the hairdresser. Now, I don't know nothing about this baby thing and we having a baby. I don't know nothing about that. That's definitely wouldn't be Stephen A's way of doing that. He would want all that to remain private. Now, here's the other thing. When she made certain statements about the show, about going to the bosses and the things that they said, and they didn't do anything about it, and says basically go back to work. And they all got to go back to work. Stephen A alluded to there was a problem. During the same timeline and the period that she said was the time Stephen A was saying there's people on his show trying to sabotage him on his own show. People he fought for, and he couldn't explain it. And then this woman says Molly tried to go to the bosses and accuse Stephen A of SA. And that's why she calls him SA on the show. Said that he was harassing her when it was the other way around. And Stephen A turned down her advances. Whether it's true or not, it opens up the Pandora's box. Because what she says lines up when Stephen A was complaining about people trying to sabotage him on his own show. Same time period. So either that person is just super accurate and kooky, or that person knows something. So we already proved that that person knows Stephen A in a very intimate way. We can't deny that. They at least dated at some point in time. Whether they still getting down, who knows? But what I do know is that woman knew and know Stephen A. Smith. That's something we know. That's factual. And that's been throughout the years. Mm-hmm. She's the foreman, Betty Foreman. Well, you can ask her. Ask her what's going on up there in Connecticut. Stephen A. is a chick magnet. Hey, Glove 300. I'm not the one that's saying it. The woman that's been around Stephen A. is saying it. She's the one saying it.
And there's a bully that keeps on picking on him and picking on him until everybody finally finds out that that kid got them hands. I'm that kid that got them hands. So let's have a little story time about Molly on First Take. See, Molly came at me last night for the I don't know how many times from a fake account. And she was making fun of me. But she didn't know that I know who she is. And so I told her, like Stephen told her, to stop calling him SA. But she wouldn't listen. And I told her not to do it again or I was going to air her out. And so she decided to get on First Take today to do it. So let me tell you a little bit about Molly and why she calls Stephen SA. Molly actually falsely accused Stephen of sexual harassment. This was after he rejected her advances because I guess she thought that he didn't really love me. Anyway, so let's go back about Molly. See, Molly was the one who actually planted the story about her and Stephen having an affair. When Stephen wanted to address it, his bosses told him not to. Molly blamed that on Jalen, her ex-husband, but it was really Molly. Molly was jealous because, see, Jalen told Molly not to move to Connecticut, but she didn't listen. And then she got mad at the results. So then she decided to go after Stephen A. after she saw him coming up even more. Well, baby, she didn't know that Stephen A. is all about Nikita. So anyway, she plants this story and she thought it was going to faze me, but it didn't, because the one thing I know about my man, he likes all the assets and she ain't got none. Anyway, so she let it play out. And so when it didn't come, I told Stephen at that moment, I said, you should nip this in the bud because she is going to claim you harassed her. And he said, no, my bosses told me not to. And there's another story about those bosses that actually are trying to sabotage Stephen A. at ESPN, but I'll talk about that later. So today, Molly was the one who did it. She planted the story. She falsely accused Stephen. And apparently she didn't think I was about this life, but baby, I'm about this life. See, Stephen should have told you, not only am I a banking expert, I'm an IT expert. And on top of that, I was the EEO director at the FDIC. Now, you better come again before you come correct, before you come at me, because I'd rather be growing my baby. But baby, I'll stop and take care of you.
Now, people might think she's lying. I don't think she's lying. Now, yes, she that's legit. She worked there, the EEOC. So she's a very accomplished woman. So yeah, you might think she's some kook. Now, she tagged people on here, and her message reads, do y'all want to know what happened? Molly Qerim falsely accused Stephen A. of sexual harassment after he rejected her advances. She planted the lies on social media about them having an affair and blamed Jalen. She tagged Molly. She tagged Jalen. She called Stephen A. S.A. as a sub to meaning sexual assault. Molly Qerim, and she tags her again. Stephen A. and I told you to stop, but you wouldn't listen. And then she tags ESPN. What are your thoughts? I got more where this comes from. You either correct her or I will continue to do it since you have prohibited Stephen A. from talking about us. Molly Qerim is not a victim. She is a villain, playing victim after she did all the dirt. Woo! Woo! Hey, this is what happened when you playing for the masses. Jimmy Pitaro and Bob Iger, your bosses. Remember? Stephen A. live to please the masses. I love my masses. So, being on the plantation, they tell you go back to work. Get back in the field. But Stephen, get back in the field, boy. Nobody told you you were free, but I was free. I got my free. You ain't got no free, boy. You got to get back in that field. Yeah. You not free. I love when they prove me right. Just a matter of time. Mm-mm-mm. So, all of a sudden, this situation is coming to a head. Stephen A is now getting more power on the show because he shut up and went back to work. He didn't cause no trouble for the masses. And that's what they like. They like you to be a good old boy. Don't you cause no more trouble. But the sabotage she's talking about was this: the Pat McAfee situation. See, the Pat McAfee situation came in because ESPN, every sports person's nightmare, decided to create and give all the money to Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee did it the right way. He did not come to ESPN for a job. He came in and brought his company. That's what he did. He said, I'm going to bring my company. And it worked. He brought his company. And when you bring your company, you're going to be in good company. That's right. The company you keep. Oh, yeah. You come in good company, you leave in good company. That's what we talking about. Mm-hmm. Joint venture. All the way through and through. Oh, 100%. 100%. That's the reason why. Because everybody knows one thing and one thing for certain. They don't care about you at this company. You were an employee. He came in as a business owner. They did a joint venture partner with his company, and he doesn't have to answer to the bosses you do. He answers to the main bosses, and they listen to him. You got to do it with showrunners. He don't have to deal with a showrunner. He brought his own staff, his own crew. The people who have worked on his show still work on his show. They all got hired. They all got a check. All ESPN do is cut the check. But they crossed the line when they told you, because you thought you the executive producer of First Take, that you were in control. You were never in control. That was the illusion. You ain't in control, boy. They are in control. And that's what they did to you. They made you believe you were in control. No, you're not. We're going to put Pat McAfee on your show. We're going to put Pat McAfee on your show. And when we put Pat McAfee on your show, then that's going to be large. He's going to come in for one guest appearance on First Take. They're trying to help your show out and your ratings. Pat don't need to come on First Take. He didn't ask to come on there. They had Shannon Sharp on there. They was like, Shannon Sharp, Pat Mac. We could start going in that direction. Then it started coming up with this. Stephen A. Smith got offered millions less than what Pat got. You see that? Can y'all see that? They got millions less than what Pat got. Look at that. Millions. Millions less than what Pat McAfee was getting. Millions. That's what they thought of your worth. Pat McAfee don't have to do Sports Center. He don't have to do any other shows. Pat McAfee has to just do the Pat McAfee show. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith is doing NBA 1, 2, EBA 3, ESPN Deplores. They got him any which way they want him to go. He's got to do it. Then you decided to get smart and do what we've been doing. And the same thing Kwame Brown's on. You trying to build a platform up. You try to bring it. Now you want to go to the internet and build a platform up when you've been doing radio all these years. But he never wanted to trust himself. He didn't want to bet on himself. Now he wants to bet on himself. So now he's spending millions on a studio. He's building it up. And now he's trying to fast track himself to being Pat McAfee. You want to try to do that and then bring it back to the ESPN and say, look what I've created. Look at me, boss. Give me some money. And that's how we're here, buddy. That's how these situations happen. Because you don't bet on yourself. That's how these situations happen. This is how you get caught in this conundrum. This is how you could get Me Too'd by a woman who's ambitious. Who wants your spot? She wants to host her own show. Has she ever hosted her own show? Nope. I saw Molly Qerim without the makeup while they were applying the makeup, and oh my God. When I'm talking about a witch, she looks just like a witch. She got the bags under her eyes, everything. It's not what you thought, what you think. Y'all be thinking, Molly fine. She's eye candy. I'll be like, I saw what that girl saw. She probably saw it too. And I'm like, ugh, she is not all that. So yeah. Yeah, if you see her up close, I can see through the makeup and everything. I can see all through it. I see everything now. Once you see her up close once, the makeup stuff don't work on you no more. You see through all that. Mm-hmm. He said they sabotaging you. Of course it is. That's what she's probably gonna allude to. But you know what Stephen A gonna do? He gonna get mad at her. He gonna get mad at his black woman for standing up for him because he can't stand up for himself. He be, don't you do what you doing talking to white folk like that? You trying to get me fired? I don't want you out there talking for me. I'm a man. How does that look? My black wife talking to me. You better get her on the line, Stephen. Oh no, I got it. I got it. She's such a kidder. I got it under control. Don't forget, I tell you. Now he's mad at us. I do my little soft shoot. So Stephen A is going to toe the line because he knows what he has to do for money. He let them degrade him on his show. And they invite this man to black colleges. They invite him to places of educational like achievement to say, be like me. And you gonna make it. Why is that the case? Why is that the case?
People make the mistake.
I don't understand why some people make these mistakes and start going down the wrong side of the road. Stephen A. Smith has worked hard. I give him that. Yes, he's worked hard because he has to. Now, do you understand why you have to work hard? Everybody act like working hard is the right thing. You want to work smart. And man, y'all didn't even hit the like button, man. Y'all got to get active here. Damn, I'm looking at the likes like, are you kidding? Yeah, hit the like button. What have y'all been doing? Y'all been so captivated here. I got to tell y'all to hit the like button. Jesus. Hit the like button up. Oh, no, this is going to continue on the Patreon. You already know. Because the Patreon version is going to be a lot shorter, a lot to the point, and you're going to get a lot of backstory as to what else we left out. Now, because we got to go through the Jalen Rose situation. Yeah, it's a Jalen Rose situation involved in this too. Because him and Stephen A are at odds now, and it's mainly Molly that caused that. So they used to be friends until this happened. Molly split them up. Yeah, the fight over this man. Stephen A. on vacation. So while he was hitting the waters up with his chocolate drop, hmm yep, she's trying to help him get in shape, get in the waters. He help me, babe. The water's too high. It get too high. Well, why are you wearing sunglasses and a Jordan cap in the water? Michael Jordan might see this. Mm-mm-mm. Fast forward, here we are. When she was younger, now, who knows how this is gonna play out? But one thing's for sure. Stephen A. allegedly knows this woman. Now, what's gonna happen when Stephen A. and Molly and this show blows up? Because if this keeps going, he said, I think I got all the spammers. Everybody just happy he got a thick chocolate woman. Hey, I'm just happy he got a thick chocolate girl. I met Stephen A in 2005 when Floyd fought Sam. And the woman he had there was from Chicago. And woo-wee, I could have said a drink on the back of her hand. Like, he had a stallion. from Chi-Town. Nah, he was a cool dude back then. Don't know what happened to him now. But yeah, I've talked too much. So this has been a great video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, join the Patreon, which is Carcino for Life. We're gonna have fun on that Patreon because we're gonna just continue this, and then I will go into the Jalen Rose situation. But if you're listening here on the YouTube version, thank you guys. Hopefully, you guys join the Patreon, and you've all been great. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, because of that, I now say goodbye. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life. Don't forget to subscribe to him. Welcome to HDII TV. Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez, and we out the door.